Hello, my beautiful people. Come with your wide open hearts. Come with your hearts broken open to this world. Opened now through your heartbreak, even wider still. Come and know that there is a love holding you. There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all. Let us rest in that love and have faith. Please join us in singing this next piece of music, There Is Love, beautifully composed by Rebecca Parker, who used to serve here with us.
Good morning, and welcome to All Souls Church Unitarian. My name is Sherry Gilbert, she, her, and I am your worship associate today. We gather at All Souls in person or on Zoom, accepting each other and ourselves as we are today, where we greet and embrace all gender identities, sexual orientations, abilities, ages, race, creed, and religions, where all people are welcome at this table of love and fellowship. We gather to celebrate our successes with others or to seek comfort when in pain. We gather to be present with ourselves and others on this day that has been given to us. If this is your first time or you still feel new here, maybe you could raise your hand or let folks know in the Zoom chat so that we can give you an All Souls welcome. Are there visitors? As you may know, Transgender Awareness Week is November 13th to November 19th, leading up to Transgender Day of Remembrance this week on November 20th. Transgender Day of Remembrance has been observed since 1999 in memory of trans lives lost to violence because of their gender identity. As you may also know, I am the very proud mother of two young adults who are transgender, and they are very much alive. If you want to know more about my children, Mara and Anakin, let's talk after the service. I turn your attention to the connection card enclosed in your order of service or posted in the chat. The connection card is our means of staying connected with you. Each week, it will offer new opportunities for us to stay connected with each other. We want to know how you're doing, support your engagement with the community, and make communicating with us easier for you. If you want to tap into the lifeblood of this congregation, you will want to subscribe to our weekly newsletter. On the connection card under your email is a box for you to opt in. We will consider the invitations. You can consider the invitations on the card throughout the service, and our ushers will collect them during the offering. We particularly appreciate visitors filling in your email address so we can send you a gift. We're so happy you've joined us here today. Let us pause here and recognize the legacies of both Indigenous and enslaved peoples at this international crossroads now called Washington, D.C. For generations, Piscataway tribes have been the traditional caretakers of our bioregion. These people of the waters lived along the Anacostia and Potomac rivers. Our commitments to the beloved community and our eighth principle set an intention to educate ourselves and take action to repair harm. Though the form of this repair may change, may our commitment to it remain true. In a world, there sometimes seems to be more than divides us than unites us. And we intentionally take a moment to covenant together, to give voice to what draws us together, and to renew the values to which we pledge ourselves. Please rise in body or in spirit to speak our Sunday covenant together. Love is the spirit to our people, and service is our call. To build the beloved community, to seek fuller truths in love, to dwell together in peace, to offer aid and affirmation, and to tend being. This is our covenant. And now you can stay standing for one of our favorite parts, greeting each other.
choose love. In the midst of pain, I choose love. In the midst of pain, sorrow falling down like rain, I await the sun again. I choose love. I choose love. I await the sun again. I choose love. I choose love.
I'm going to invite my young friends to come forward this morning to come join me. Come. What did you say? The magic carpet is on a trip into the corner. Even carpets like to rest every now and then. So, this month at All Souls, we have a theme of the month. And the theme of the month is a word that we particularly adore. One might even say that we love it. Any guess what this word is? Huh? Love! Someone's been paying attention this morning. Yes, Unitarian Universalists love the word love, and we love love itself. Now, you might just think that this is something that I'm just saying, is one of those things that we just kind of feel or have a sense about, just kind of know without being sure. But there was a scientist named Robert Miller, and he studied the science of people and language and beliefs and our values. And he went out and he did this national survey talking to people all across our country, people of different faiths and beliefs, people who went and worshiped somewhere, and people who worshiped nowhere. And he asked these people, what values are most important to you? And he listened and noted all the words that they said. And do you know what Robert found out? Unitarian Universalists value love more than any other group in our country. And we use the word too. So when I say we love love, we really mean it. It appears in the covenant we said this Sunday, the word love appears 3 times more than any other word. And we've sung about love this Sunday, and there are other hymns that we sing. Love will guide us is one. There's also, there is more love somewhere. Also, there's this one that I particularly love. It doesn't start with love, but when I speak with bravest fire and have the words to all inspire, but have not love, then all is vain, which is a great way of us reminding us that we can do impressive and powerful things, but if we don't have love in our hearts, then we don't know what we're about. We don't know who we are. Now, let me ask a question. Do you sometimes have this sense that one of your parents loves you even though they're not saying that with their mouth? Yeah? How do you know that?
Because my parents sometimes shout at me.
Your parents shout at you? Maybe to good job? Maybe because they're caring about you and they're worried that you're going to get hurt? Maybe. Yeah. What are some other ways that parents love you without them saying, yeah?
They're staring at me.
They're staring at you. My mom keeps going, oh, the loving looks, Mom, the loving looks. What's another way we know someone loves us without words?
She gives me
Hugs,
hugs.
right? The way that we show up and we touch each other. Yeah, that's another way. Kisses, I love those, right? There are all these ways. Sometimes it even just looks like giving someone a lot of attention and listening, being there for them, right? When they're sad, or showing up to see when you've done something important. Sometimes it's time together. I'd also say it's like waking up early to make you breakfast. That's a sign of love. And I just want to say, as Unitarian Universalists, we tend to listen for those more, and then we tend to say those words more, and we tend to try to do all those good acts. In fact, one of the ways that we showed up to be loving in the world was called answering the call of love, or standing on the side of love. And we just said, we're here. And these were used all over the country, but particularly on our southern border when people were coming over because the communities that they were coming from were not as safe for them, and they didn't know where to go. They were told, find the yellow-shirted people. They're the love people. You can trust them. We were known as the love people. How cool is that? Very cool. I like you. So I want to say this is part of who we are. And the great part of listening and watching and paying attention for all these ways that we say love is every time we notice one, we feel that love more in our heart, and then we could offer it again to others. So as we go from this space, let's remember that we're the love people. And may we feel good about that and feel loved in return. And would you join me in singing our children out to their RE classes or back to the pews to join their family? Thank you, friends.
They are so cute. Oh my gosh. Good morning, all. My name is Tracy Hughes Trotter. I'm the executive director here at All Souls, and I'm so delighted to be your liturgist this morning. First, we have something to celebrate All Souls. The 100 for 100 matching campaign was a rousing success. Yes. Thanks to your generosity, in just 2 weeks, the church received one-time gifts and pledges of $56,000, and that's $6,000 above our goal. So thank you so much, All Souls. Pat yourself on the back. Those additional funds, along with the matching $50,000, will go towards the repair of the doors and windows around the courtyard. Thanksgiving is just around the corner, and it's time for our annual Thanksgiving collection. Our children and youth are organizing the collection and bag filling this year, so please drop off your non-perishables between now and November 24th. You can find more information under the QR code in your order of service or online. And if you're an Amazon Queen, King, person of court like I am, you'll be glad to know that there is a link, wish list, Thanksgiving wish list for All Souls. If you're interested in learning transformative justice practices for conflict engagement, you can sign up online. Those classes start on November 27th. There will be a soup potluck on December 1st. Bring a pot or crock pot of your favorite soup to share after the service. We'll also honor Michelle Anderson that day and send her off well on her last day at All Souls. Finally, join the board this Wednesday online as we consider our mission in light of the election results and proceeding with the Living Wells Within Our Means Committee. You can find the Zoom link in the online calendar. So we turn now to congregational care. We send prayers for a swift recovery to Jan Smart, who recently had surgery following a broken femur. And prayers of healing as well to Bill Rice, who is struggling with back pain and is recuperating at home. We also send love to Henry and Julie Hubbard. Henry Hubbard contracted West Nile virus in August, and unfortunately, it has progressed to encephalitis. Henry is now in rehab in Rockville. Julie welcomes cards through the mail. Please no calls or visitors at this time. We send prayers of healing to Henry and care for Julie. Finally, we're glad to report that Bob Wittig's daughter, Kayla, is home now from the hospital after a fall and 2 seizures. We pray for Kayla's continued recovery. I invite you now to lift up aloud or in the chat or in the sacred silence of your heart the people, places, or causes you carry with you here today. Will you pray with me? Come, O Holy Spirit. Come, open us to the wonder, beauty, and dignity of the diversity found in each culture, in each face, and in each experience we have of the other among us. Come, fill us with generosity as we are challenged to let go and allow others to share with us the goods and beauty of earth. Come, heal the divisions that keep us from seeing the holy in each other. Come, free us to stand with and for those who must leave their own lands in order to find work, security, and welcome in a new land, one that has enough to share. Come, bring us understanding, inspiration, wisdom, and the courage needed to embrace change and stay on the journey. Come, O Holy Spirit, show us the way. Amen.
Today's reading is Please Call Me by My True Names by Thich Nhat Hanh. Don't say that I will depart tomorrow. Even today, I am still arriving. Look deeply. Every second, I am arriving to be a bud on a spring branch, to be a tiny bird with still fragile wings, learning to sing in my new nest, to be a caterpillar in the heart of a flower, to be a jewel hiding itself in a stone. I still arrive in order to laugh and to cry, to fear and to hope. The rhythm of my heart is the birth and death of all that is alive. I am the mayfly metamorphosing on the surface of the river, and I am the bird that swoops down to swallow the mayfly. I am the frog swimming happily in the clear water of a pond, and I am the grass snake that silently feeds itself on the frog. I am the child in Uganda, all skin and bones, my legs as thin as bamboo sticks. And I am the arms merchant selling deadly weapons to Uganda. I am the 12-year-old girl, refugee on a small boat, who throws herself into the ocean after being raped by a sea pirate. And I am the pirate, my heart not yet capable of seeing and loving. I am a member of the Politburo with plenty of power in my hands, and I am the man who has to pay his debt of blood to my people dying slowly in a forced labor camp. My joy is like spring, so warm it makes flowers bloom all over the earth. My pain is like a river of tears, so vast it fills the four oceans. Please call me by my true names so I can hear all my cries and my laughter at once, so I can see that my joy and pain are one. Please call me by my true names so I can wake up, and so the door of my heart can be left open, the door of compassion.
We have been here before, confused and angry at half of this country's electorate. We have been here before, both doubting and self-righteous in our sense of the truth of our views about the world. We have been here before, and not just once, and not just in election years, but many times because we live in a polarized society. We are polarized like magnetic fields that push each other away. Into this space, hear again the words of Thich Nhat Hanh. My joy is like spring, so warm. It makes flowers bloom all over the earth. My pain is like a river of tears, so vast it fills the four oceans. Please call me by my true names so I could hear all my cries and my laughter at once, so I could hear that my joy and my pain are one. Please call me by my true names so I can wake up and so the door of my heart can be left open, the door of compassion. I love origin stories, truly. And let me share with you what I think is the origin moment in Thich Nhat Hanh's life for this reading. It dates back to 1947 in Vietnam when Thich Nhat Hanh was a young Buddhist monk, just 21 years old, and war was the truth of his country, Vietnam. And at that time, they were fighting French soldiers. In this time of war, the institutes of Buddhist studies were closed so that students, monks, and nuns could devote more time to demonstrations and meetings supporting their nationalistic movement for independence than for prayer. Yet at the same time, some of them were so fervent in their practice of Buddhism that they continued a monastic life where they studied and practiced, and that practice fostered a deep aspiration to devote one's life to serving those who suffer. Now, Brother Tai, as Thich Nhat Hanh is affectionately called, was one of these monks, and he knew what life was like, even for those who were leading pacifist lives intentionally, because French soldiers would regularly raid these monasteries, steal their food, and even execute monks who they believed were part of the resistance movement, sometimes in really cruel ways. In fact, Thich Nhat Hanh's monastery had been forced to evacuate for several months. And the French soldiers threatened the monks and warned them not to ring the gongs or bell that were a regular part of their ritual life, the soldiers fearing that these sounds were a secret means to communicate with local resistance fighters. So Thich Nhat Hanh says he didn't like the French soldiers very much. And then one day when he was, again, just 21, a full monk, but a young monk, he saw a French soldier waving to him. And the French soldier kind of beckoned to him and pointed at a water pump house on the side of the hill not far away and called to him, "If you're not too busy, please come up there with me so we can talk for a little while." And so the two of them sat side by side on this hillside. The soldier began sharing an experience that was deeply in his heart and mind. See, he was part of a unit of soldiers that 10 days earlier had raided this temple, not an unusual thing. But this particular raid happened at 10 o'clock at night, and they were searching for Vietnamese resistors who had been reportedly gathering in this temple. And the soldier said, "We were determined to find them. We carried guns. The orders were to arrest and even kill if necessary. But when we entered the temple, we were utterly shocked." "Why?" Han asked. "Was it because you had found the Viet Minh?" No, we wouldn't have been shocked if we had found them." "Then what shocked you?" "Well, what happened was so unexpected. When we've done these searches in the past, people would run away or be thrown into a state of panic, and there would be all this pandemonium. And I suppose that's because soldiers like me have terrorized people many times in the past, though I haven't made a habit of terrorizing or threatening people. But when we entered this temple, it was like entering a deserted place. The lamps were low. It was completely silent, though we could have a sense that there were people there. The sounds of our own feet on the gravel sounded so loud. The yell from my commander was shocking. And yet, what happened was I went into this room and I turned on a flashlight, and there seated were about 60 monks, all silent in meditation. "It's because you came during our sitting period," Han replied. And the soldier looked at him and said, "It was like we ran into a strange and invisible force. It scared us so much that we turned and left the temple. The monks just ignored us. They didn't raise a voice in reply or show any signs of panic or fear." "They weren't ignoring you," Han replied. "We were just practicing, concentrating on our breath. That was all." The soldier shared that we were attracted to their calmness. It was worthy of our respect. And so we stood silently in the temple's courtyard and waited perhaps half an hour. Then there were these series of bells, and then the temple returned to normal activity. A monk lit a torch and came to invite us inside, and we told him why we were there, and then said we would leave. From that day on, I began to change my ideas of the Vietnamese people. Then the soldier continued to talk about how he and his comrades were homesick and missed their families and their countries. They didn't know why they were being sent there to kill people or if they would ever return home. And how it broke his heart to see the Vietnamese people work so hard to try to rebuild their shattered lives, and how it reminded him of the shattered lives that he saw of those in France working to rebuild their country after World War II. And most of all, the young soldier wondered, I wonder why we have come here. What is this hatred between the Viet Minh and us that we have come all this way to fight them? Deeply moved, Brother Tay took the hand of the young soldier and told about one of his friends who had been enlisted to fight the French and who had been successful in winning many battles. But one day, Han's friend came into his temple and burst into tears and embraced him for support. He said that in this attack on this fortress, he was concealed behind some rocks and he was ready to attack when he saw these two young French soldiers sitting and talking. When I saw the bright, handsome, innocent faces of those young boys, I couldn't bear to open fire, dear brother. People can label me weak and soft. They could say that if all the Vietnamese fighters were like me, it won't be long before our whole country is overtaken. And yet I could not do it. The young Vietnamese soldier's heart was filled with a love of humanity. Before Thich Nhat Hanh and the soldier left that hillside, the soldier shared his name, Daniel Marti. And over the next several weeks, they sent letters back and forth and continued their conversation. And the soldier shared that he no longer would raid any of the monasteries as he had done, and began to have more conversations about Buddhism. And then Han received a letter that the soldier Daniel was returning to France and then would go to Algeria. And he promised to write again, but Thich Nhat Hanh never heard from him. And Han reflected, who knows where Daniel Marti is now? Is he safe? He didn't know, but he had faith that no matter what situation Daniel was in, he is at peace, he knew, because the lives of all living beings had filled his heart. And similarly, that young French soldier helped Thich Nhat Hanh to draw his circle of love and compassion a little wider. And he learned the soldiers' true names: friend, brother, son, person. And Thich Nhat Hanh would learn to draw the circle even wider still. He wrote to Martin Luther King Jr., with whom he initiated this correspondence, which led Reverend Dr. King to speaking up about the Vietnamese War for the first time 2 months later. But what about us? Do we draw the circle wide? Or like some UUs, do we fortify ourselves against the world? I see that happening in many of our congregations. So it is a legitimate question, but I want to share 2 brief stories with you as you think about your own answer to that question. And the first involves my childhood best friend, for whom if I described her as religiously skeptical, that would be an understatement. I actually don't truly know how much my going into ministry has affected our relationship. But 8 years ago, she came to me. She was wrestling because her mother said that her husband might really want her child to be baptized since he was religious, and she didn't know what to do about this. She shared her biggest reservation about religious communities is what I would describe as being tightly bonded. They have boundaries about who is in and who is out, and that they generally believe that those who are in are better than those who are out. And I really sat with this for a few months. Do we UUs have our own version of those who are saved and those who are damned? And in the end, I answered for myself, no. And it was because I reflected about the people I knew before I entered Unitarian Universalism. My sphere was far more white, straight, cisgendered, economically elite, secular. Through UUism, I grew interfaith friendships. I learned to worship respectfully in colleagues' spaces. I held babes in my arms in the hands of elders who were dying, who I never would have met without this faith. I have sat with those who have been harmed by police violence and those who would have been killed had the police not shown up, and with the families of police officers who felt that UUs had turned against them. Because of this faith, I have a good friend who is also convicted of murder, into whose care I have trusted my children. Because of this faith, I went to witness how our country separated families and held children in the tent city of Tornilla. And I also witnessed at Standing Rock as Wesley Clark Jr. and other veterans got down on one knee and asked for forgiveness from First Nations people for the genocide committed by the US government. I've loved and pastored to Republicans, of which whom before Unitarian Universalism, I had not one I would call a friend, truly. And I grieved with one man when his voting for Trump in 2016 ended his marriage to a woman he deeply loved. So Unitarian Universalism drew my circle of love and care wide. But there was this one moment when, as the youth director at First Parish in Concord, Massachusetts, I accompanied our youth on a spiritual pilgrimage to our partner church in Transylvania. On our second day, there was this meet and greet with the youth in our Transylvanian community. And youth there is like wide ranging from like 14 to 27. Now, most of our sibling UUs knew no or little English, but I would tell you it did not in any way, that language barrier, get in any way in between the friendships that were formed in that week and that continue still 11 years later. Now, I did notice this young one man, and I went up to him in large part because of his band t-shirt. And you see, I thought I was quite cool because I had been to, my husband had taken me to Against Me and Propagandhi, and I recognized like this hardcore band t-shirt that he was wearing its style. And I thought, oh, I'll go up and greet him and kind of like show my cool music credentials. And it turns out he was one of the people who best spoke English. So I pointed at his shirt and I said, oh, you like hardcore? And he goes, no, hatecore. And I was like, hardcore? Just wondering if this was a language issue. And he looked at me and goes, no, hate-core. And then I really looked at him again, and I noticed his shaved head and his slight frame, how he was small but not weak. And I'll tell you, those alarm bells in my head started ringing. But I also knew with kind of that focused certainty that this was a moment. And I can't remember exactly how I knew it, if it was my chaplaincy training or my conflict resolution skills or my time with our youth. But I knew how to connect through listening and how you can build pathways by being open and listening and connecting. So I began to ask some of these open questions, and I could tell that he could tell that I was actively listening. And what he basically shared was Hungarian white nationalism, very similar to what we hear in the US. He was Hungarian, a race that built this powerful empire, but now the pride of his heritage was being taken from him, along with his language, culture, and jobs. And interracial marriage was meant to weaken the Hungarian people. And then I asked a few more questions. And who was doing these things to him? Were there laws that was doing this? Were people in schools saying this to him? Were there other acts? Was he told these things? Did he lose out on something? And he moved from speaking with certainty to really slowing down and actually saying, well, no, there were no laws. No, that hadn't happened to him. Actually, he wasn't entirely sure. And I could tell he was thinking. And then I asked him, why did he come and spend time with the Unitarians? Because didn't he know they didn't believe any of those things? They held different values around inclusion. And he said, they are nice and they welcome me, and I don't have any other friends. And I said, I hope this is always a safe space for you and for them. Before he left, he came up and shook my hand and said goodbye. Now, afterwards, I did go up to one of the Unitarian leaders about him because, still alarm bells. And the woman nodded and said, yeah, no, we know him, and his ideas are disturbing. And when I asked her about his continuing to come, like all the different times he comes, and why and how she felt about it, she said, it is better that he's here with us. We can all train ourselves in love by learning the way to listen deeply in order to understand the situation and the suffering of the one we consider to be our enemy. And we could train ourselves to speak lovingly. The place of this congregation and the work of this congregation is to help us do this. It is to be a workshop that creates the practices that this world needs to heal. The practices are simple. Recognize that there's no one in the world more important as the person right in front of you. Recognize that the only moment of time you possess is now. Let your soul, your spirit, your energy speak to that moment. Say to the world, to the person before you, I hold all the world within you. I am present with you. I wish for you all that I wish for me. Be at peace, be at ease, be safe, be happy. Is this not the blessing we want to extend to the world? Is this not the calling of love? So my dear ones, my spiritual companion, The essential work of being human is to discover the capacity to bless what is ever before us, to breathe in the pain of the world, and to breathe out love. May we bring peace where there is discord. May we bring friendship where there is distrust. May we bring kindness to where there is suffering. As Mother Teresa said, remember, in this life we may not do great things, but we can do small things with great love. May it be so, and amen.
Okay, back to the connection card. Our ushers will collect them during the offering. I cordially invite you to turn your attention to the reflection question on the connection card. And this week, we're inviting you to reflect on this question. How can you draw your circle a little wider? As the music plays, you are invited to contemplate and reflect on how you would answer the question. Please fill out both sides of the card.
One of the beautiful things about All Souls, and there are so many beautiful things about All Souls, is that this church is building beloved community and expanding its reach in ways that touch lives well beyond this sanctuary. In 2014, we lived in the Brookland neighborhood in Northeast DC. Our daughter Aiden was 5, and we were finally lucky enough to jump off that wonderful ride that's called the DC School Lottery System. Yes, and get her enrolled in a great charter school in Edgewood, and the name of that charter school is called DC Prep. However, enrolling her in a good school was just half the battle. I needed to find aftercare. And one of the parents at the school suggested Beacon House. And in fact, that is precisely what Beacon House was for us. It was a light. Aiden was immediately welcomed, and she fit right in. She loved the aftercare curriculum and especially loved the teachers. The entire staff were completely committed to those kids, fostering an environment where the kids felt safe and supported. And in fact, we still keep in touch with a few of those teachers at Beacon House today. I was so impressed with this program and its impact in the community that I joined its board of directors. And less than 6 months in, Reverend Don Robinson, an affiliated minister with All Souls, yes, who is the founder of Beacon House, asked me to chair the board, which I lovingly did for more than 2 years. It is Rev's vision, grounded in Unitarian Universalist values, that has been saving and changing the lives of hundreds of children in the Edgewood community since 1991. Thank you, Reverend Robinson.
Beacon House. We had an after-school program where kids came after school and got help with their homework and stuff. People from those churches around the Beltway came and taught those kids and helped them with their homework. And we saved, over 10 or 15 years, we saved thousands of young people.
Yes, thank you, Rev. Thanks, Rev. So it's only fitting, since Beacon House provides after-school education and youth development services to nearly 400 children between the ages of 5 and 18 every year. And now that is building beloved community. Beacon House is building beloved community, one child at a time. This month, Beacon House is the community organization chosen to receive 50% of the non-pledge contributions made to All Souls. If you're in the sanctuary, the ushers will be passing the plate for the offering. You can also text All Souls by sending ASCU to 73256. If you're on Zoom, click the link in the chat, which will direct you to All Souls online giving. Thank you in advance for your generosity. Today's offering will now be gratefully taken and gratefully received.
Tus manos son mi caricia, mis amores cotidianos. Te quiero porque tus manos trabajan por la justicia.
Te quiero. Somos mucho más que dos. We are so much more than two. And in our last song, which we'll invite you to sing with us, it says, when our heart is in a holy place, when we listen to one another's stories, truly, that is when we are one. I invite you to rise in body, rise in spirit, when our heart is in a holy place.
I invite you into this benediction with me. When I raise my hands, I invite you, if you wish, to speak these words. Speak the language of love. Let's practice that. Speak the language of love. We arrive from many different experiences and backgrounds. Some of us have trouble speaking. Others are so young that they're still learning to speak. Some of us speak English as a second language, and others of us can speak several foreign languages. All of us share this in common. We speak the language of love. Each time we come here, we greet one another with kind words. We chat about the days behind us and the days to come, and we speak the language of love. We lift our voices in song, not to sing perfectly or in tune, but to hear and feel our voices form a life-giving sound. We speak the language of love. We form a web of compassionate listening when individuals among us, embodying vulnerability, name the fears that grip their hearts, the joys that buoy their spirits. We speak the language of love. At times, our voices clash, we disagree. Tension enters our voices as we make room for different beliefs, different opinions, different perspectives. Throughout all, it's our intention that we speak the language of love. In this congregation, we welcome a multiplicity of truths, and invite them to be named out loud. We prophesy, summoning the age when justice and peace will be evident for all around us. We speak the language of love. Let us be a community together, making room for one another as whole beings, tender hearts, hungry spirits, and curious minds. With our actions and with our words, let us speak the language of love. And so may it be, and may you rest for our musical benediction.